Being able to identify players who are in a breakout for fantasy basketball, simply put, will just outright win you your league and set you up with a massive advantage over your league mates all season long. I'm going to give you my top 10 breakouts heading into 2025 fantasy basketball season. Now, it's very easy to have a first solid 3 to 4 picks since most of the guys are already proven. It's in the middle to later rounds where the most value is to be had and will set you up with the biggest advantage on your road to securing a championship. Thanks for all the support on my last video, my top 12 sleepers. Appreciate y'all. If you haven't checked out the video, make sure you do. I'll be posting videos right up until the season starts and throughout the year, especially weekly waiver wire ones. Hit that sub button if you think I have the nastiest mini hooper jumper or real life jumper for a 5'10" white boy on all of YouTube, and smash that dislike if you don't. For those of you that are new here, I'm Chris and welcome to Number 2 Sports. First up, we're going Payton Pritchard off the Boston Celtics. Now, you'll probably see Pritchard's name across every sleeper, every breakout video this season. And as we get closer and closer to the NBA season, all that's going to do is continue to drive his price tag up. So like now, really, can we even classify him as a breakout with an ADP of 77? Regardless, though, with Tatum going to miss the entire season, with Horford gone, with Porzingis gone, with Drew Holiday gone, there's so much touches, there's so much users up for grabs in this new look Boston Celtics lineup heading into the 2025 NBA season. And I think the biggest beneficiaries are going to be Payton Pritchard and Derek White. Pritchard, coming off a career year in 2024, earning 6 Men of the Year honors, posted highs in points at 14.3, 3.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 0.9 steals, 40.7 from beyond the arc, and 47.2 from the floor. Pritchard averaged over 7 attempts from 3 last year, and honestly, going into this season, I think that number is going to go up. Boston lives and dies from beyond the 3-point line, and that's going to be no different this year. Whether Pritchard joins the starting lineup alongside Brown and White remains to be seen, but regardless, there is no doubt that his minutes, usage, and shot attempts will increase, and as long as his efficiency doesn't completely go in the crapper, Pritchard should challenge to post career highs again across the board this year and challenge for a top 60 finish. I know everybody's probably sick of hearing about him and it's reflected in his ADP just continuing to skyrocket up, but I had to include him here just out of principle. Next up, let's go with Onyeka Okongwu. And like I said in the center's tier list video, Okongwu was a per minute stud last year, averaging 13.4 points, 8.9 boards, 2.3 assists, practically 1 steal and 1 block per game, all while having solid shooting numbers with 56% from the floor and 76% from the free throw line. Okongwu can hit the odd 3 too, and I know it doesn't seem like a lot, just barely hitting a 3 per game, but it shows that he has it in his bag. He has the ability to work on it over the summer, and it can make a huge difference in his fantasy floor and his ceiling if he can start to knock down shots from beyond the arc. Okongwu's 3-point attempts have went up the last 3 seasons, and I think that trend can continue going into 2025. I imagine his ADP is nearly 100 because people are worried about the offseason addition as Porzingis, but really, when is Porzingis ever healthy? And B, Okongwu is the only real true center on this Atlanta starting roster, and depending on the lineup, I still think Okongwu can get 30 plus minutes per night and has the ability to stuff the stat sheet with solid shooting numbers that make his floor a top 75 player and his ceiling way more than that. At just 24 years old, improvement is definitely still in the cards here, and he could be in line for a massive year. Okongwu is legit one of my favorite targets in all drafts around pick 100, and I think he is a no risk, pure upside selection that you can't go wrong with. Go get this man. Next up, I have one of my favorite guys, and I know I always say every player is like my favorite player, but this guy legit is, and that's Ausar Thompson off the Detroit Pistons. I was just watching that back, and I have no idea why I'm closing my eyes and talking like that, like a complete weirdo. Anyways, so back to Thompson. Now, Yahoo absolutely needs to chill on this guy. He was pre-ranked in the hundreds at the start of the year. Now he's way up in their latest update, all the way up to 77. So like, come on, Yahoo, you gotta chill, man. I love getting this guy in the triple digits. Now to actual basketball stuff, there's been rumblings, there's been talking about Detroit wanting to get the ball into his hands more going into this season, and many people have said it. Cunningham said it, the coaching staff said it, and it looks like Thompson's going to be relied on a lot more, and I expect massive things from him in 2025. The only thing that's really held Thompson back is his minutes and a little bit of jump shooting inefficiencies. Last year, Thompson had that scary blood clotting issue that really delayed and derailed his season. He didn't debut until November, and when he did come back, he was put on a heavy minutes restriction rightfully so. So we didn't really see him start to get 25 minutes plus per night till later in the season, but when he did, it just showed us a glimpse of how fantasy friendly his game can be. Fully healthy going into 2025 with absolutely raw, disgusting athletic ability, Thompson is able to dominate the dunker spot, attack from the perimeter, and has downright ferocious defense. He had the same number of deflections last year as Dyson Daniels, and we remember how good Daniels was last year. Either people pick him off the waiver wire at the end of their drafts, and he was a legit league winner. So that's pretty good company to be in if you're Thompson. Now, people may be worried about spacing with him on the floor, saying Detroit will need more perimeter shooting at the suspense of Thompson. I know he's working on his jumper, but I think his other attributes outweigh that in real life basketball for Detroit, and in the playoffs, playing him the dunker spot next to Duren really worked out, and it worked fine, and the coaching staff will adjust and find ways to keep Thompson on the floor. He'll be a stud in transition, he's an athletic lob threat, and he can be a thrasher in the half court. I know his twin brother Eamon gets most of the fantasy hype, and rightfully so. He's a bit more polished as a scorer than Azar is right now, but I don't think Azar Thompson is that far off. What are you doing? Azar could legit average double digits in points with immense upsides in rebounds, steals, blocks, while providing okay ratios and a sprinkle of assists. And being able to draft Thompson in like the 9th round right now instead of the 2nd or 3rd like his brother's going could be the biggest steal of the entire year, because again, I really don't think they're that far off. Give me 30 plus minutes per night, a few more shot attempts, and I am so bullish on Thompson heading into 2025. All right, let's keep going here with Donovan Clingan, the big fella from the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, I may be higher on Clingan than others, but I just feel like he has an insane ability just to hold down so many boards per night with insane spike nights where he's going to get close to 20 boards. And if he can just get a slight offensive improvement, he could easily be a nightly double-double threat heading into 2025. Clingan is a beast, and I like the veteran addition of Drew Holiday to help settle down the Blazers in the half court, get Clingan some easy looks, some easy dunks. And I think Clingan easily has the ability to swat over 1 shot per game as the anchor down the middle for a young Portland Trail Blazers team. And again, like if he can get his scoring up and get closer to 25 to 30 minutes per night, if he worked on his conditioning, because I know that was a big thing with him last year, and I've heard over the summer that he has worked on it, has worked on his foot speed. I think he could be poised for a massive second season and really break out as one of the better shot blocking centers in the league. Clingan grades out so high on every rim protection stat. His timing is impeccable and really makes up for his lack of foot speed. And having a lid on the rim like that with a defender is so invaluable for NBA teams, and it will be crucial for Portland. And I think that fact will help Clingan stay on the floor and get close to that 30-minute per night mark as long as he can stay out of foul trouble. I'm not too worried about the addition of Yang Hassan like some people are. I think he'll be brought along very slowly, similar to like Clingan was last year, and it'll take him some time to adjust to the speed and the physicality of the NBA. And I don't think we'll really see a big impact or any impact at all from him till later on in the season or in the second half of the year. I see so much value drafting Clingan around pick 100 right now. I just can't pass it up. Let's keep going with Keegan Murray. Now, Murray had a great rookie season, then followed that up with a breakout sophomore year where he averaged 15.2 points, 5.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and 2.4 threes on 6.6 attempts per game while shooting 45% from the floor. Going into drafts last season, he was getting selected in the top 50, which hindsight now seems a little crazy for a spot-up shooter. And he definitely didn't live up to that draft capital as he saw a decrease in production across the board last year, with his points dipping down to 12, his threes down, his field goal percentage down, and his shot attempts down as well. What I like about him going into this season is, first off, his ADP is outside the top 100, and I see no reason why he can't average close to 35 plus minutes per night for Sacramento. And I think Sacramento's going to really rely on his outside shooting this year, given their current roster construction, more than they did last year. I know the roster is gross in Sacramento with DeRozan, Levine, and Sabonis, but I expect the coaching staff and management will want to see how Murray performs if he's going to bounce back before he heads into restricted free agency this offseason. They can see if he's going to be a part of their future, build around him, and pay him going forward. I also think we could see some people moved from the Sacramento roster as the season goes on, depending which way they want to go, because again, the roster fit just seems seems gross right now. I think Murray will refine his three-point stroke, get that percentage back up. I think he'll get more shot attempts in the 12 to 13 range again. Continue to make improvements on the glass. He increases rebounds from 5.5 to 6.7 last season, and I see no reason why he can't finish as a top 70 player with upside for more if injuries were to occur or more shots were to float his direction. I think Murray is an absolute smash pick at his current ADP, and there's this kind of vibe right now that like people have forgot about him. What do you guys think about Murray heading into 2025? Are people sleeping on him, or do they think it's rightfully so just because that gross roster construction in Sacramento and he's not really going to perform any better than last year? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up, we have Brandon Miller. Miller looked poised to breaking out last season before he suffered a wrist injury in January, only limiting his season to 27 games played. He averaged 21 points, 4.9 boards, 3.6 assists, 1.1 steals, 0.7 blocks while shooting 40% from the floor and 86% from the line. He attempted over 10 threes per game, hitting 3.9, which is just crazy talk. Talk about having the green light from beyond the arc in your sophomore season. But in his defense, his three-point shot does grade out as one of the better ones in the entire NBA. So if you're shooting over 10 threes per game, most likely your shot attempts have increased from the prior year, and that's exactly what happened with Miller's. They went from 14 to 18, which is a pretty dramatic increase, and it definitely took a toll on his efficiency, dropping it by nearly 4% from his rookie year. Looking forward to 2025, Miller's expected to lead the offense or co-lead it again with Mr. LaMelo Ball, and I expect Miller to pick up right where he left off with lofty field goal attempts and improved efficiency this year. His fantasy game is very well rounded. He has the potential to dominate in points, threes, free throw percentage while bringing down 4 to 5 boards, and hopefully the trend continues and he increases that rebound total yet again, since he's such a very versatile and athletic wing at 6'7" with an insane wingspan, giving him the ability to haul down boards just so easily, and he has no issue being a playmaker on the offensive end and being a pest on the defensive end, contributing in the stock categories as well. There is also the elephant in the room, or the elephant in Charlotte, that LaMelo Ball just never stays healthy. So if he gets injured again, which is probably likely at this point until Ball proves that he can play 65 plus games a year, there is a great chance that Brandon Miller's usage is just going to skyrocket at some point in 2025. I also think Charlotte's going to try and be a bit more competitive this year after being in the bottom of the dumpster of the NBA the last 3, 4, however many seasons. It seems like it's a lifetime now. But I think they'll be less likely of blowouts, or maybe a slightly less chance of shutting him down near the end of the season. I really believe Miller was going to break out last year, so I think there's a great chance that Miller, the third-year wing, is going to have a massive 2025 as he inches closer and closer to NBA stardom. Him and LaMelo could turn into an unstoppable 1-2 punch if they could both stay healthy together. I love Miller. I love his game. I'm very high on him going into this year, and I think he can be a great pick to solidify your fantasy team all season long. Next up, we got another Piston, and that's going to be the big man down there in Motor City, Jalen Duren. Now, Duren has the potential to absolutely smash his ADP if we just see a little growth in his offensive game and we just see him get more minutes. If he can average over or close to 30 minutes per game, his game will just skyrocket. Duren has been working out all offseason with the superstar Cade Cunningham, a thing you love to see and a key indicator that he's locked in, motivated, heading into the 2025 NBA season. I really hope Detroit just stops giving beef stew around 20 minutes per night and just giving their prize center Duren the ability to go ham on a nightly basis, get him up close to that 30 minutes per night, and let's just see if he runs away with it. And I think this is the year that it finally happens. A monster on the glass, Duren averaged 10.3 boards, 11.8 points, 1.1 blocks, 0.7 steals while shooting a career best 69% nice from the floor last season. Free throw percentage is bad at 66%, which sucks, but free throw percentage can vary so much on a year-to-year basis. It's hard to really put a lot of emphasis on developing or noticing patterns with players. Because for example, he shot 79% from the charity stripe in 2023. I also think it's an aspect in many players' games. If they really want to work on it in the offseason, they could really just dramatically increase their free throw percentage over a year-to-year basis. So back to the minutes thing, the most important thing with Duren, I really don't like how his minutes dropped from 29 to 26 last season, but if we ignore the regular season and look in the playoffs, when obviously Detroit's trying to win every single game, do or die games, he averaged over 34 minutes per night against the Knicks, showing that when they need to win, Duren's on the floor pretty much the entire game. So to build on top of that too, I think Detroit has a lot more expectations than they've had in previous years coming into the season. People are expecting Detroit to win a lot more ball games, to make the playoffs again, which hasn't happened for a while around there. And one should expect that Duren should get a lot more opportunities to help anchor the defensive end and clean up the glass. And if he just gets a subtle increase in his offensive production, I have seen clips of him working on his jumper this offseason, and it's looking pretty silky. I expect the big man to average a healthy double-double with some insane rebound spike nights. It is blocks close to 1.5 per game, have great field goal percentage on easy looks and easy dunks assisted from Cade, and sprinkling some assists with that nice little soft touch that Duren has. I love drafting Jalen Duren in the middle rounds this year. Next up, we have Alex Sarr from the Washington Wizards. The second overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft, Sarr displays some of that immense upside and talent and produced a really promising rookie year for himself with averages of 13 points, 6.5 boards, 2.4 assists, 1.5 blocks, and hitting 1.6 threes per game. Sarr's field goal percentage was disgusting at 39%. He really does need to improve on that, but it can be expected with rookies. They can struggle with their efficiency, getting adjusted to the speed and the physicality of the NBA. But the 7-footer has a game that can produce unbelievable stat lines with the ability to block over 2 shots per game while providing value across all counting stats from threes to boards to assists and points. I expect Sarr to take another leap forward in his sophomore season, and he played great in the summer league, recording this unbelievable stat line against the Nets of 16 points, 12 boards, and a record-setting 8 blocks. Yes, you heard that right, 8 blocks in just 29 minutes. I legit think this 20-year-old could be one of the steals of the drafts if he can be a bit more of the focal point on the offensive end for a young, rebuilding Washington Wizards squad. Sarr admitted himself this offseason that he was a little timid when attacking the basket and settled for jumpers instead of taking it all the way to the rim. And he said he's worked on the offseason on his touch in closer to the hoop, which in theory should help improve his worst category by far, and that's field goal percentage. I like the veteran additions of CJ McCollum and Middleton to help out this Frenchman and help groove him into a fantasy stud. And I think we were just scratching the surface of Sarr's potential, and I think he could be a legit fantasy superstar in the near future. Sarr is one of my favorite breakout picks heading into the 2025 NBA season. Next up, we have the high-flying dunker from the Portland Trail Blazers, that's Shaedon Sharpe. Now, I love dunkers, but this high-flying forward just isn't a dunker anymore. He's really rounded out his game with averages last year of 18.5 points, 4.5 boards, 2.8 assists, 0.9 steals, 2 made threes per game while shooting 45% from the floor and 78% from the charity stripe. The thing that makes me very bullish on his breakout going into 2025 was his final play over the last 3 weeks, month of the regular season last year, where he really took over offensively and closed out the season with averages of 25 points, 6.6 boards, 3.6 assists, 1.4 swipes, 2.5 made threes. And I think Sharpe's just set up to pick up right where he left off last season. Sharpe should be the go-to option for a young Trailblazers team on the offensive end, and most things should flow through him with some help from Denny and Drew, and then Clingan and Kamara can be the defensive anchors on the defensive end. Still, just 22 years old, I expect Sharpe to take another step forward this year, improve as a playmaker, improve his three-point stroke. He's just too good of a shooter to consistently shoot 31% from beyond the arc. That's going to improve in 2025. And I think one of the reasons it was so low in 2024 is he was shooting so many contested looks, trying to put Portland on his back, trying to shoot themselves back into games. And I really just think it hurt his efficiency. If we expect a slight increase in Sharpe's counting stats as well, I can easily envision a top 50 finish for him if things fall his way. I love the upside here. Sharpe has improved every year that he's been in the NBA, and I see no reason why he can't do that again this year. Next up, we got the French-Canadian Benedict Mathurin from the Indiana Pacers. Now, Mathurin has always been a bucket. He's had no trouble scoring whatsoever. What's really held back his fantasy game is the lack of counting stats. The Canadian has never really been elite in any other category. He doesn't get you many assists, steals, or blocks. His threes and reboundings have been average. You saw a slight uptick in his rebounds last season, getting them to 5, which is great, which is solid. But the practical zeros in the other categories really have dampened his value in years past. Mathurin, though, like I've said with other Pacers, Blazers has a huge opportunity set out in front of him going into this year. There'll be no Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner's gone, so Mathurin should slide nicely into the number 2 option on the offensive end right behind Pascal Siakam. I expect the ball to flow through his hands more. I expect his assist numbers to creep up, his counting stats to creep up across the board. I'm hopeful he's going to shoot more threes, and just overall with increased usage in minutes, it's going to make his fantasy game a lot more balanced, and it won't be so one-dimensional, just limited to scoring. Mathurin has the coach's trust, and if we can just get a similar line like Game 7 of the NBA Finals last year after Halliburton went down in the first quarter, where he had 24 points, 13 boards, 3 assists, and 2 steals, clearly demonstrating the ability that he can do it. He's not just a bucket getter. Mathurin will absolutely smash his ADP as a go-to scorer with enough minutes and enough usage to make his counting stats acceptable. Okay, now I quickly just want to go over a few guys that I'm not really fully sold on as breakout picks that you'll see in a lot of other videos or a lot of other articles from other fantasy experts. Now, before we get into it, don't get me wrong. I still think these players will be very good, very valuable, are solid players no matter where you pick them. I just think where they're ranked now or where they're getting drafted is at their ceiling. And I think there's more risk that they're going to underperform slightly than the opposite of when they're going to go beyond and past their ADP for their ceiling play. So first up, Andrew Nembhard, with his ADP around 76, I legit just kind of think that's where his ceiling is going to be if everything falls right for him going into the year. There's so many question marks around Indiana this year, and he'll really have to improve on his scoring, threes, and counting stats to be a top 70 player, and I just don't know how confident I am that he's going to do that. I really liked Nembhard as a sleeper pick or a breakout pick when he's ranked and getting drafted outside the top 100, but now that he's at 76, I think that's just where he'll end up if everything falls right for him, and I don't really think there's a lot of improvement or a lot of value drafting him at that, where you think he maybe will get close to top 50. I just don't think that's realistic for Andrew Nembhard this year. So I might get a little hate for this one, but next up I have Cooper Flagg with an ADP of 43. Now again, I just feel like that's his absolute ceiling if everything goes right for the rookie this year, for him to finish inside the top 50 and return round 4 value at 43. The NBA is just so much more physical, so much more faster than college, and you can see it all the time with these rookies that there is a pretty big adjustment period, and you really don't know how some of these guys are going to translate going from college to the NBA. And I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, well, he's already dominated a ton of guys back when he was scrimmaging against the Olympic team in the summer. But yeah, that's a completely different setting than an actual NBA regular season game on a regular NBA team. But don't get me wrong, I think Cooper Flagg's going to be great, but I just don't really like drafting guys at their ADP when I think it's their top of the top ceiling outcome. I just feel like it's more likely that they're not going to meet those standards and they're going to underperform relative to that value. And the last guy is Derek White with an ADP of 39. And again, with his ADP of 39 now in the 3rd round where he's getting drafted, I just feel like that's his absolute ceiling play. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think sometimes more shots and more usage always isn't a good thing if it's going to destroy your percentages and create more turnovers. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen with White, but it's obviously a possibility. But don't get me wrong, I think White's going to be great, but I think there's a greater chance that he's going to finish outside the top 50 than inside the top 30, like how he's getting drafted right now. All right, so that's another video in the wraps. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Thanks for watching my latest sleeper video too. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out here. Again, I'll try to apply to every comment, every single video. So you have something to say, send it down below. If you like this video, make sure to smash that sub button, hit the thumbs up, and don't be scared if you hated this video, hate my takes, to let me know that it sucked ass. I'm a grown man. I can take it. I'm just trying to get better at this fantasy basketball thing, just like you are too. Have a good weekend, everyone. Have a good week, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.